Starting right about now. I'll give him a couple minutes to get in. We'll see. I got the comments pulled up for him.
Okay, cool.
Let's see.
Yeah, I guess I can't see anything on my end. So
you can pull up the YouTube to see the comments if you want, because I'm sure they're gonna have a ton.
Oh, that's gonna be so distracting to me. I'd rather just like focus.
That's what
on
it is
this.
for me.
Because otherwise, I'm just gonna be reading every single comment and be like,
That's what I do when I'm talking. All right, let me make sure.
Yeah.
We're a minute early. We already got a bunch of people in here though. What's going on, guys? We are with Graham, not Graham, Ricky, Graham. You guys already know him though. The what? The white cracker?
It's like graham cracker.
Graham cracker, pretty much. What's going on, guys? We'll give everyone a minute or two to get in here, and then we will get started. But you guys already know who's here. It's his first live stream ever, right? First one ever?
First one ever. Your thing just came up on my phone, too. Kenner J. Fox. Graham Stephan shows me how to invest my $1 million in real estate, so I just got your notification.
Better have my notifications on.
Make sure to click that bell, you guys. You got to go down and click that bell.
Notification gang, that's what's up, guys. Finally able to watch you live. Well, welcome. I know we've gotten a lot of subscribers recently, guys. Got, what, I think almost 15,000 in the last 30 days. It's been insane. So thank you, guys. What's up, Matt? All right. Should I make this a better title? I don't know if I like this title.
I have no idea. I spend a lot of time on my titles. Usually I sleep on my titles.
Oh, no.
I'll make a note, and then I sleep on it, and then the next day I usually come up with, like, something early morning. I'll be, like, in the shower. I'll be like, oh, my God, that's the perfect title.
I do mine after I make the video. I'm like, what works? What's kind of clickbait, but not too much?
Exactly. It's got to be, like, a fine balance.
Oh, you
if
guys...
it's too clickbaity, people get so pissed.
They can deal. All right, guys, we will get going 1 second. And let's just start now. So, will you introduce yourself to maybe my 2 subscribers who don't know who you are? Because most of them do.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, if you don't already watch my channel, definitely watch my channel.
First link in the description, guys.
Doing it. Yeah, but anyway, my name is Graham Stephan, not Graham, Ricky. Graham Stephan, and I've been selling real estate now for almost 9 years. So I started shortly after I turned 18. And I started as a real estate agent. And most people, by the way, who watch my channel think like I'm a full-time real estate investor. And that's not the case. My primary focus is always selling real estate as a real estate agent. It's just I happen to document the investing and stuff I do on the side because that's what, I really enjoy filming. And plus, I can't really film a lot of what I do as a realtor. So anyway, I've worked as a realtor now for 9 years. And I think in that 9 years so far, I've sold about it's got to be up to about $120 or $130 million of residential real estate throughout Los Angeles. And I've started investing in real estate in 2011. I ended up buying 2 houses and a triplex. Then I bought a house last year, and then I bought a duplex this year that I'm fixing up that I've tried to document on the YouTube channel. I've had a lot of fun with that. But that's me, and I make videos for fun that I enjoy recording myself and talking to a camera and then uploading it.
And now doing live streams soon.
Yeah, and not doing live streams. I've been nervous about doing a live stream. It's just the pressure's on to be live and I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing or screw up and have all these I've done Instagram live, and even with 60, 70 people watching me, I'm like, oh, fuck, this is. That seems to be a lot of people.
You guys tell them you're used to my live streams and how great I am with my fluid speaking, so he can feel comfortable. But when did you kind of start real estate? What age? Let's say real estate investing, and how much did you have to start with?
Yeah, so I started selling real estate as a real estate agent shortly after I turned 18. But as far as investing, I started investing in 2011, and that was just accumulation of me finally having enough savings to actually buy real estate and the market being low enough for me to afford to buy real estate. So it was a bit of an accumulation of both. I think at the time I had close to, I'm just guessing here, somewhere between $150,000 and $180,000. And keep in mind, that was 3.5 to 4 years of saving, working as a real estate agent. So the first year, I think I made 35 grand. Second year was 55, 60. And then the third and fourth were close to 100 and then over 100. So this is 3.5, 4 years of savings that I pretty much saved up that I used to begin investing in real estate. That was 2011. Bought a short sale. It was $60,000. Actually, like $59,500, and I asked for a $500 credit, and like they actually agreed to that at the very end. But that was a short sale, and this is a house that was selling for like $250-something thousand
Wow.
in 2006. And then the market crashed, and San Bernardino is an area in Los Angeles, California, that got hit really, really hard. And so this is bought just like at a fraction of what it was selling for just a few years prior. Fixed that one up for about $12,000, and then I rented it out for about $1,250, and then I bought another house just down the street from that. That was $72,000. I put I think it was $8,000 into it. That rented about $1,200 a month. And then a triplex was $125, put $15 into it. And then one of the units rented $600, one was $750, and I think the other one was like $750 as well.
So on that first one, you're saying, so you're all in for what, 65 about?
So no. So we'll call it $60,000 is the price of the house, $12,000 for renovations and stuff like that. So $72,000. Keep in mind, I paid cash at the time. So $72,000 was grossing me about $1,250 something a month, and net that was close to $1,000 a month, basically. Wow. And that I saw as just like basically a free $1,000 a month that you never have to worry about. It's always coming in, no matter what you do. I could sleep in, I could go on vacation, no matter what I do. It's like there's $1,000 a month coming in that I don't really have to like work for. That makes sense.
That's what I want. So let's get into that. Let's pretend. So, well, not pretend, but I'm looking to get into real estate in the next couple months once I can get approved for mortgage. Let's go over that. Yeah. My issue, getting money. Not getting money, but getting loaned money. So getting mortgages, for me, it was really difficult. And the main reason was the self-employment history being under 2 years. I did not have 2 tax returns. I had 1 and no previous work history before that. So how should I work around that if I can? Is it really just waiting without putting an absurd amount of 40 or 50% down?
Yeah. So banks do this for the main reason that they don't want to see somebody who has one like stellar year. So let's say like you start your business and you get one amazing year where you ride this amazing wave and you get like, let's call it, $500,000 in profit. Banks want to make sure that's consistent income. So you're not having like one big like $500,000. They give you a loan based off $500,000, and the next year you're like all of a sudden you only make $30,000, and then the bank's screwed. So they like to see at least 2 years of tax returns. And then what they do is they take the average of those 2 years, and they base what you can qualify for based off the average. Banks that don't do that, that can go maybe based off 1 year, it's like you said, it's about 50% down. And that just mitigates the bank's risk that if you have a shitty next year, you can't afford the payment, the bank has 50% equity essentially built into that, so they don't really lose on that deal. The only thing to really do is just to wait it out, unfortunately, and file the next year. And what I recommend people doing, and I've done this myself, is you just basically deduct less. When you know you're going to be buying a house, you deduct as little as possible to show higher income to the banks, and then you qualify for a higher mortgage. Then after you get the mortgage, I mean, you be a little bit more aggressive in what you deduct.
Yeah, because
it's a waiting game.
Yeah, it sucks because they also were trying to approve me off how much money I have in the bank, which is difficult too. So for a $500,000 mortgage, they wanted to see $1.75 million in the bank after my down payment of 20%.
What? Okay, that seems absurd to me. I've never seen that. Now, typically they require what's called a cash reserve, which is where you buy a property. They like to see you have some banks will do as little as like 3 months. If you're buying a primary residence, if you have the income, they'll do as little as 3 months, which is your mortgage, your insurance, your taxes, like a little bit extra. They want to see 3 months of payments cash in the bank. Sometimes they go up to 6 months. I think on mine, because it was an investment property, they want to see 6 months of that. Having that much seems absurd to me. But
that was the sole thing I was being approved off of, though. They weren't looking at tax returns at all.
Now, was it maybe like a credit score thing where they saw like maybe the credit wasn't good, or was it just like they just saw a surge of income and they wanted to like?
That was just, they said they have a different program. So my credit score is 738 or something like that.
Gotta get that up, man.
I'm working on it. It's because when I went to go buy my car and to try and get these mortgages, they had to pull my credit so many different times to try that it dropped about 30 points. So it was above 750, and it might be partially because the debt I have on my Lamborghini. I owe $80,000.
So it depends what the payment is per month, because that will significantly lower. If let's say it's $2,000 a month, let's just making assumptions here, $2,000 a month payment, that will lower a mortgage essentially of about $400,000, because you have to think $500 per month, just on average, is about $100,000 worth of a mortgage. So if you have $2,000 coming out of pocket every single month, that's worth $400,000 in a property.
Yeah, because I got approved for mine at 20% and then paying off the car. So
that makes sense, yeah, because they want to see your cash flow go up a little bit more. It's just the debt to income ratios. Banks are pretty strict right now. And this is another thing I want to just a quick side tangent is people are so worried that like real estate's in this big bubble and that like prices are, being held artificially low, which is somewhat true from interest rates. But people are putting so much money down. Banks are so strict on where they're lending that basically everybody who's buying right now can afford the place times like 2. Usually. I mean, they're very strict. Even with me, they put me through the ringer with 2 years tax returns. They want to see 6 months bank statements. They want to see checks of all my rental properties. They want to see like insurance statements. Like, it was crazy.
That's what I'm going through right now. But keep in mind, that was showing consistent for the last 4 or 5 months, over $300,000 a month in income. Yeah. So that's the part where I'm like,
but the thing is, for a lender, you're high risk just because it's a sudden surge of very high income. And they're thinking, how sustainable is this? And can he maintain this long term enough to pay for a property? I mean, that's really all it is.
Okay, so let's fast forward. Let's pretend I file my tax return January 1st. It's now January 2nd. Let's say I have $500,000 to $1 million to invest, free capital. What should I start looking at? Should I look into single-family houses? Should I look into duplexes, triplexes, bigger multifamily? What would you do?
Yeah, so I mean, this is something that I went into in one of my last videos that some people are very like split on in terms of investing in like big multifamily and investing in smaller units. For me personally, if you're going with $1 million down, let's just take the example of $1 million just because it's like a pretty round number. If you put 25% down, which is, I would say, the average for an investment property, banks like to see 25% down, that would put you at basically a $4 million property, which is a much higher price point than where I invest. So where I invest is usually like $600,000 to about $1 million per property. This, you're putting like that amount down on one place. So, $4 million, I would generally like to see more units just because I feel like you can afford to buy more units. But ultimately, it just comes down to whatever is the better deal and wherever you can get the most upside. But anyway, going back to the example, $4 million property, you could probably find a property somewhere in California, and I'm talking like not the best areas, but if you want like pure like cash flow, if you just want like some cash cow to make cash every single month, and you don't care so much about the area being like prime area. Lancaster is amazing. San Bernardino is amazing. Palmdale, like those areas just outside of LA, like within an hour drive of like the middle of Los Angeles, probably buy something that will net you after all the expenses about 8%. So that means off $1 million, that'll make you about on a $4 million property, 8% would be $320,000 after all of your expenses. Of course, you put $1 million down, which means you get $3 million in a mortgage. And that mortgage is going to be about $25,000 a month in your mortgage off $3 million. Mm-hmm. So that means you're left right there with about, we'll call it $14,000, $15,000 a month in profit from a place that you bought that's $4 million with $1 million down. Make about $14,000 per month after paying off the mortgage. So that works out to be about 14-something% cash on cash return on a deal like that, a hypothetical deal like that. But it's not only that, you're also paying down the mortgage. So after like 30 years, that place is owned outright. So the first year, you're going to pay off about $50,000 off of your principal by paying, $26,000 a month. A portion of that every single month goes towards your equity. So your real cash on cash return is somewhere close to 20% when you factor in paying down the equity and in the rents you receive. And that's for an area that you just you don't really care about the area so much as you do just the cash flow. if you want to take that to LA, you get, honestly, 4 million would get you a very good place in like Inglewood, Long Beach, Torrance, those areas that would make you a little bit less. You might be more like a 10% return total, including like paying down the mortgage and in rents. But the area would be maybe a little bit more resistant to like, change and stuff like that. And I think long-term appreciation would do better there.
Okay. Now, what if I were to go out of state? You think I could get, higher returns?
Yes, I do think you could probably squeeze out if you're to go to another area, and I'm talking like, maybe like an Arizona or like a Las Vegas or a Florida. You can probably squeeze out like a 25% return on your money. So you would make a ton more going out of state. Out of state's something I've never decided to do. It's not something I want to do right now, just because I like being able to like drive 20 minutes and drive by the area and know what's going on, and like being able to see firsthand every single day what's like changing in the area. You can make a ton of money by investing out of state. It just requires you to know out of state, which I don't have any experience on.
Yeah. Okay. So would you want to, what kind of tools do you use when looking up different real estate properties? Are you on Zillow? Where can I find these properties? And can you analyze one for us maybe? Maybe we look for one, and then maybe how you would break down, how do I know what insurance costs on it? How do I know what my expenses will be? Or how do I guesstimate them at least? Or just
so the websites I like to use, I love LoopNet, which is good for commercial places, and it's good for larger multifamily. Otherwise, I like the MLS, which is mostly for agents. We all use what's called the MLS.com. I think there is an MLS.com that just like anybody can use as a guest, but that pretty much just syndicates to all the other real estate websites like Zillow, Trulia, Redfin. All those websites pretty much just show the same thing. So it's not really like one website has everything and the others don't. So I recommend those websites. I also like, I think it's the Realtor.com app, which is what I use, but I focus mainly on like under 4 units. But I really like the Realtor.com app. It's been pretty easy to use, but that's the same thing as like the Redfin app and the Zillow app. It's pretty much the same thing. So that's where I recommend looking. And it just takes, in this market, it's really hard to find a good deal that makes sense. And it's just like you got to look every single day. And as soon as something comes up, you got to just jump on it and see it in person. If you like it, be the first one to write an offer and try to get it accepted before anyone else has a chance to see it. And that's like the secret to getting an accepted offer at like a reasonable price without having to like outbid other people.
Now, what are something I should look at when analyzing a deal? Okay, maybe I can see the NOI, maybe I can see maybe their net operating income, but how do I know what my expenses will be? Or how do I guesstimate them if I don't know exact?
So on most larger deals, and I'm not talking about like usually on 1 to 4 units, it's these mom and pop landlords who don't always keep all the records. And they just sign a statement, and it's like, this is what I say my expenses are, this is what it has been, and I'm signing my name here, certifying that I'm not like, maliciously trying to deceive anybody or defraud somebody, and that this is what it actually is. On larger properties, you have like rent rolls, you have tenant estoppel certificates, which tenants sign showing that they're not receiving any sort of compensation for paying like a certain amount of rent, or they're not receiving any like bonuses that have not been disclosed already. They give rent rolls. And on one of the buildings I sold recently, it was, I think, 8 units by West LA. And that required, I think that was 2 years of expenses from a management company on every single item, whether it's like spraying for ants or whether it's an eviction or painting. They itemize every little single thing, and you can see what's been done and what the average expenses are. As far as rents, most people on properties like this will not put actual rents. If they do, they also include projected rents. So they'll say, okay, well, we're actually getting $500 a month, but we project you could get $1,000 a month. And most people are very optimistic on these things. So you can look at some of these buildings and you see like, oh my God, it's like, it says it's netting like 15%. And then you see it's like all projected, and the projections are like, okay, like if you fix it up, amazing. If you get like the highest quality tenants possible, so what I recommend doing is I use Craigslist. So if I'm looking at a building and I see that, like, let's call it the rent's projected at like $2,000 a month, I'll look on Craigslist for similar units in that area, and I see what they're renting for. And if you see that, they're all going like 18 to 2,200. You maybe think it's pretty safe. Okay, $2,000. And you also compare the condition with what's in the pictures. But if you see similar units being like $1,500, $1,600, okay, so maybe they're being a little bit too ambitious with what they think they can get. And everyone is ambitious when they do these things because it just attracts people in, and people do their own research on that. But Craigslist is one of the best ways to find comps.
Okay, I've never used Craigslist. I always look at Zillow on the rents and whatnot.
Craigslist is good because it's a lot of mom and pops that don't post on Zillow. A lot of things actually don't show up on Zillow when it's in the lower end of things. Anything like $5,000 a month or over, for what I found, is usually on like Zillow, Redfin, Trulia. It's under that, Craigslist. And it's like these mom and pops that just post like one picture and like a crappy description. And it's like, this is how much I want. But that's the best real world example to how much money you can get for a place.
Okay. Let's talk about property managers. So do you manage your own properties, or do you have a company that does it? And I know there's different laws in different states. I think it's in California, actually. If you have more than like 12 units or something, you have to have a property manager living there. It might
I've
be
never
like
heard of that. I've never heard of that. I would be highly surprised if that was ever the case.
I'm probably wrong then, but
yeah, I've never seen that before. No, as far as a property manager is concerned, I use a combination of both. So I manage, for the most part, a blanket statement here, I manage them all myself. And it usually takes me 1 to 3 hours per month. And most of that time is, by the way, paying like little like miscellaneous bills, doing like miscellaneous like accounting stuff and making sure like everything is like typed in, cashing checks, obviously, because that takes like forever to like mobile deposit checks. I would say like 1 to 3 hours a month is how much time I spend. But I also have a handyman on call. So they don't call me. Like, I don't know how to fix anything. Like, I'm not the guy you call to like fix a sink. I break the sink. So I have a handyman on call who's local. So if anything were to break, let's say like, the toilet doesn't work. They don't call me. They call the handyman. He goes out. I trust him entirely. And he's a contractor in the area. And he goes and checks it out. And, and then he calls me. He's like, hey, so, this toilet broke. I could probably get it done for this price. Just let me know the okay and I'll do it. Or if it's something he can't fix, he's like, here's this other company. I've set it up for you. Just give him a call and, pay for it. So I've used that. That's worked really well. And I've been fortunate so far that I really haven't had to get much more involved than that. So it works out.
Okay. Not bad at all.
But, if you want, the thing is, if I didn't have him, I would probably right now want to go with a property manager just because it seems like a pain in the ass to me right now. When I first started, I would want to do all of it myself just because it was exciting, it was new, and you get to save. And but right now it's like the last thing I want to deal with is like something breaking or something stupid, basically. Like something really minor is not really worth my time at this point.
Let's say you had a bigger place, maybe 20 units, let's say. Then would you hire a property manager, or do you think it would kind of be the same thing? You would? Yeah,
I absolutely would. Unless I was like one of these like 60-year-old like retired people who has nothing to do all day, and because I've seen these people that they're like they own like 50 units and they're like 70 years old and they have nothing to do all day, so like this is their way of like keeping busy, is just like managing something like that. But yeah, that many units, I would absolutely get a property manager. It just wouldn't be something. It's just right now, how many units do I have? 3 houses, duplex, triplex, so 8. So that's manageable for me. But yeah, when you get in the upper range of things, absolutely, I'd get a property manager.
And do you know what a normal fee is for property managers?
It ranges. It depends entirely. I've seen them as low as 5% and as high as 10%, and it seems like the average might be somewhere 6 to 8.
And is that of revenue monthly coming in, or?
Yes, that's of gross rents, which could really eat away at your profits depending on how tight your profit margin is. If you're barely scraping by, a property manager is not going to make sense. But if you're making enough to support a property manager, which I hope you would be at that range, then it's worth it. And it's also the value of your time. If you're, hypothetically speaking, making $850 working at McDonald's, your time is probably better spent managing that place than it is paying somebody else. But if you're, making $200 an hour, you're better off paying someone, $20 an hour to manage it. It's just like, the value of your time and where you can make the most of it.
Now, one thing adults always try and tell me with this is I should start small and learn how to do it, which I think is kind of counterintuitive for something like this, because I feel like if you know a little bit and you go big, instead of making, okay, maybe if I buy a really small place and my profit is potentially $1,000 a month and I do bad, maybe I'm now in the negative a little or break even. Whereas if I do a big property and I start doing worse, I have a higher margin. So maybe instead of making $10,000 a month, I'm now making $2,000. What's your opinion? Do you think I should start small, or should I do more into one bigger multifamily unit?
I don't know. I started small. You know, this little house I bought was a small little thing. The remodeling project was very small, and then I just worked up from there. Going in big from the very beginning, I probably could have done it, but I would have made a lot of mistakes in the very beginning that I wouldn't be making now. So I guess it's somewhat like driving a car. That you don't want your first car to be like this Rolls Royce, because you're going to fuck it up. Like, you're going to ding the door. Something is going to happen to it just because you've never driven a car before. I think it's the same way with real estate. You're going to be making mistakes along the way. It's inevitable. Mm-hmm. So I feel like you make mistakes on a smaller scale than going all in on something huge and maybe making something that ends up costing you a lot more money. But I also feel it's all in perspective. I mean, to some people, maybe, you know, a $100,000 property is a lot for the area, and that would then going big, whereas they could buy something like 30 grand. So I do think it's all in perspective, but there's definitely a learning curve. Especially for me dealing with tenants, there was a big learning curve in like how friendly you be and like how you treat them. Because in the beginning, I was just like, this is someone like we should be friends. It's like, this is someone who's like living in my place. Like, and then they see your niceness and they see that you're just like, you know, bend over backwards to make sure they're happy. And then they start like slowly taking advantage of that. And asking for more and asking for more, and then it's like, you know, it's just, and then that screws up everything because they're so used to you doing a certain thing that when you say no, then it's just like,
that would be my issue. Okay, good to know. Be me.
Yeah,
I have trouble doing that.
I try to have as little contact with the tenants as possible, and it's also like, I'm really soft when it comes to people, and it's like if I really like somebody, it's you know, I don't want to say no.
Yeah.
Even if it's unreasonable, even if it's like, you know, something stupid, like, you know, my one light isn't working. Could we replace this with like something else? Like something, I don't know. Just as an example, though. Okay, well, yeah, like let's do it just because like I care about it. But it's like it's a stupid business move. So it's got to be treated like a business. And I feel like the least amount of contact you have with the tenants, you just try to keep it professional and you keep it on the subject of real estate.
Okay, got it. Good to know. Now, do you have anything that you wish you knew at the beginning that maybe could benefit me?
Screen tenants. That was the biggest mistake I think I ever made, was the first tenant. It was the first house I got. The first tenant I got. I posted on Craigslist, and this is the first guy who called me, and I was so desperate at the time to rent it out. And this is at a time I invested everything I had into these properties, like everything. I had no money in the bank. And if one thing came up, I was screwed because I put it all in there. Like my last dollar was like spent renovating. I had nothing. And I was so desperate to rent it out. The first tenant that came by who wanted to rent it, I was just like, okay, done. And he ended up being one of the worst tenants I think I've ever seen or ever dealt with in my life. And he offered to pay exactly what I wanted. He offered to pay like, you know, 2 months security deposit. So like up front, it was somewhere like $600. Like, and keep in mind, when you're broke, $3,600 and knowing you're going to get that amount every single month that's it. So it's like I accepted him. I looked past a lot of stuff I should have looked past. I looked past really bad credit, which a lot of people had bad credit at that time. I looked past showing cash income. He said he flipped trucks. Couldn't really find anything on the side. So anyway, I'm long story short, he ended up growing weed in the garage and was selling weed. And became very violent when he started falling behind on the rent, and then he started paying like, okay, I'll pay like 2 weeks at a time in rent, and then slowly got behind on that, and then stopped paying rent. Kept saying like the check's in the mail, the check's in the mail, the check's in the mail. And then he got really violent and started pulling guns on people that would show up and serve him notices. I took him to court. He threatened to he was like, you know what did he say? He was like, we should settle this like man. Like let's go outside, settle this like man. You're hiding behind the got really like violent, kicked him out. He was there for like 2.5 years, so I did get, I came out ahead on that, but still the eviction process was terrible. Dealing with him was terrible. I lost a few months of rent, like the 2.5 year in, and then he damaged all the appliances. And, there's really nothing you can go after on somebody who has nothing to collect after. I mean, that's the thing, and you're just throwing good money after bad. So that was one of my, I would say, the biggest experiences that I had. And just imagine if you're doing that, like I'm so thankful that happened to be on a $60,000 property. Then if I had bought something $500,000, the rent was a lot more. And like he screws up like sub-zero refrigerators and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And breaks like double pane windows, and so.
Okay. Damn, I can't imagine. Do you have a certain process you go through screening them now, or is it just kind of showing their income, their credit?
One of the things I love to use is Google, and I would Google their phone numbers, email address, name, address. I will track down the owner of where they say they live, and you will be surprised at how many people lie and put false information on applications. They'll put they live somewhere, and then they put the name of the landlord. But the name of the landlord might be the real name, but it's like not the landlord. It might be like a cousin or like a friend or something like that. And when you you could Facebook search that phone number and find out who actually has that number. Because the thing is, Facebook a while ago asked you to register your phone number with Facebook. Most people did that with their cell phone number. So if you type in a number on Facebook, usually you can find out who that person is. So I will search it on Facebook. I will find out, like, I'm not speaking with, Diana over here. I'm speaking with, like Samantha over here, who has no relation at all. So like I do a lot of research on that. Okay. I also will look through credit reports. Any like arrest records or like criminal background searches is really important. And verifying income. And that is in the form of getting a few months of bank statements and then getting employer information. And then you can call their employer, and I recommend never call the number that they give you. You can look it up online and then find the number directly from there. Because again, you'll be surprised at how many people will lie on their application. Just because they either maybe don't have a good relationship with their landlord, or they just they want a better recommendation and they lie. It's like when people just lie like that, it's like, do not want that person, because it's like, what else are they going to lie about?
Yeah. Well, you got the weed in the garage already.
Yeah.
Could you be legally liable for that since it's your place, or no, because he's living there with the insurance you have?
You know what? He claimed that everything he's doing is legal, but I know, weed, I think it's federally it's illegal. That was something I looked into, that I think I could be held liable if the government were to seize the place. Thank God that's in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, so I got him out as soon as I found out about that. He was out very shortly afterwards.
Yeah, I bet. All right. Do you mind doing one more question and then move in the questions, do a little Q&A with everyone on the live stream? All right. My last question kind of for you is, do you normally go after places that need work, fixing them up and then renting them out, and finding you get a better return doing those? And is it worth kind of the work and money you put in to do that?
Absolutely. Everything I bought needed work. And part of my reasoning behind that is that if I buy something that's done, I'm paying for someone else's time on that, and I'm paying for their profit. I see more value in finding something that needs a ton of work and doing the work yourself, because you can do it at cost. You're doing all the work you want to do that you think adds the most value, and not necessarily buying someone else's work and what they think is best. So I would love to always buy something that needs a ton of work, and I spend the time to fix it up. And honestly, fixing something up is a pain in the ass. This duplex that I fixed up, I have been there every single day for a month. And it is the first thing I do in the morning, I wake up and I go drive down to this place to check it out. And every single time I go there, there's some little thing that's just not good. And I'm thinking if I didn't show up to this place, they would have there would have been all these little things that haven't been right. So it's a pain in the ass. And it's also, you always go over budget. It always takes longer than what you think it's going to take. But the end result is always way better. On this place, I'm spending right now about $65,000 right now, and then I'm putting in another probably $50,000 over the next maybe few months, maybe over the next year, on other little things to improve the place. But if I put in $50,000, I'm getting $100,000 worth of value, versus me just spending an extra $100,000 to buy someone else's work. So you can kind of profit on the equity side. If you're somebody who's really busy but has no time to do that, who just wants something for themselves and doesn't care about paying a premium for not having any of the work involved in that, by all means, buying something done is the better choice. But for investment, buying something that needs work, you always come out ahead, and you get to charge higher rents because your place is now upgraded, that you've done yourself, that you haven't paid someone else a premium for.
Now, I'm assuming all the places you own, you plan to own pretty much forever?
Yeah, I thought about selling the San Bernardino places just because I feel like they've peaked in terms of their upside potential right now. But I'm going to keep them. I mean, everything I bought with the intention of holding them for like 50 years. And one of the things that I've noticed from a lot of the people I've talked to, and a lot of these people that I've talked to are clients of mine that are like, you know, deca millionaires, and they own a ton of real estate, and they're super successful, and they've been around the block. It seems like their only regret when it comes to real estate is always like, I hear it all the time. It's always like, shouldn't have sold that place. I bought this place in 1980, and like I sold it, and I shouldn't have sold it. So I hear that, and I'm like, well, why would I sell? Like, if you don't need the money, why would you want to sell it? And I get the argument too, like you might sell that to buy something else, and maybe there's another opportunity. I get that, but I would rather just keep that and then save up for the other opportunity.
Yeah.
And just continue to add on to it. So like for me, I think always long term, and also I think long term you're less prone to risk. That let's say if you bought in 2007, the height of the market. If you bought with the intention of like selling it after a few years, you would have lost a ton of money. If you buy something, even at the top of the market, if you hold it for like 20, 30, 40 years, you're going to come out ahead. I mean, it's always gone up over time. Even if you buy at the height of the market, it's just, 20 years from now, it's going to be higher.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see it.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Let's get to some of these questions in the comments. Let's see. I assume one question we're going to get is, because I kind of see it here, is real estate's expensive where I live. How can I get started if I don't have a lot of money?
So that is probably one of the biggest questions I get too. It's always like from like a high schooler, it's like, I have no money, I have no credit, how can I get started in real estate investing? What seems popular online is wholesaling. I've never wholesaled a place before. I don't intend to ever wholesale a place before. It's not really real estate investing so much as it is like you're flipping contracts. It's like you never even take title. You guys can do your own research on like real estate wholesaling. But essentially what it is you get in contract for a property, let's say at like 500 grand. You just get in contract for it. Let's say it's worth 550. You can then go to an investor that might pay like 540 for it, and you basically profit the spread from what you're in contract for and what someone else is willing to pay for it. That's real estate wholesaling. It's not really like, I would never call that investing because it's a constant like, grind to find deals and to like get something in contract and to sell it. Real estate wholesaling, you guys can look it up. Seems very popular online. As far as otherwise investing, from everything I've seen, it seems like getting like creative owner financing or like putting zero money. Like, I never really see that, to be honest with you. I feel like a lot of that is to like pitch some sort of like, get rich quick. You buy this with zero money down, like that sort of deal. I've never seen that. I've never done that before. I honestly believe the best way to get started in real estate, and it's the crappy answer here, the best way to get started is to first get a credit card, if you don't already, to work on building your credit score, because that is going to come up when you get a mortgage, and save as much money as you can. And it doesn't matter where you get the money, unless you're growing weed in my house. It doesn't matter where you get the money. You need to work, save, build your credit, and it's going to be a slow grind. Like I said, it took me almost 4 years of saving to be able to buy my first place.
Yeah.
It's not something that I got into, and it's just like the next week, like, I want to get into real estate. Especially if you're in high school. I mean, like, you've got your life ahead of you, and you've got so much time.
And you can't get a mortgage anyway.
Yeah, but it's just like, even if you're in high school, if you're like 15, 16 years old, get a credit card. Get your parents to co-sign with you on a small limit credit card, and just put, like, McDonald's on it once a month and pay it off, and start building your credit. So by the time you're 18, and you start making some money, that is going to come in handy so much. But that's my honest advice, is just to get saving money, and you can make money a million different ways. I mean, there's so many different ways to make money out there. You just got to find out what works best with you. Yeah,
and if you guys are looking to invest and you maybe have $1,000 to, I'd say, $10,000, invest that in yourself. If you have that little amount and you don't have a consistent income already, start investing that in yourself. That's going to be your best return, especially when you're young. And then down the road, you get into real estate. I agree
with that completely. And the other thing is, honestly, YouTube. You can read anything and listen to anybody on YouTube, and that has never been done before.
That's how
anything you want to know, chances are you can YouTube it. You can go online. There's guaranteed there's been someone else who's doing exactly what you want to do, and you can learn from them. Everything is online, so there shouldn't be any excuse not to learn something if you just spend the time to do it. There's really nothing holding you back from learning something at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, I've learned everything off YouTube, so.
Yeah, I've learned a lot off YouTube. Even doing stucco, like I was doing stucco repair last week. I learned it off YouTube. Type in stucco repair or like how
Anything.
to stucco repair, and you get like 100,000 results.
It's ridiculous.
It's stupid. So,
okay, someone wants to know what's your opinion on flipping houses?
I'm all for it. I mean, I've had clients that make a ton of money flipping houses. I'm talking like in the $1 million plus profit on flipping houses.
What?
My
Jeez.
only concern, I mean, but you got to think this is like, you know, when you're selling $4 to $8 million home, like $1 million is just, you know, small. It's not like they're, you know, making 100% of their money. So people can make a lot of money flipping. My only thing with flipping is that you have to do it quick. And it somewhat mitigates your risk from holding onto a property that's not going to sell, or like something happens with the economy, interest rates shoot up, something happens that's outside of your control, and you're left with this property that you've sunk this money into. Generally, with flipping, your worst case scenario, if you've done things right and you haven't overspent and you bought in at a good price, usually your worst case scenario, even if you bought it kind of high and the market like softens, usually you have enough equity in there that you can break even. For me, I've decided not to flip just because I see more value in fixing a place up, having all the equity in there, and renting it out long term. With flipping, it's just, for me at least, it seems like a constant hustle to be like, I gotta find the next deal, gotta find that. Even as I'm finishing up this duplex right now, it would be like this entire time that I'm doing that, I would need to be searching for another deal, and it's just the work involved in that. I don't know if you can do it part time, you know, unless you have someone you really trust that's managing it all, which will cost you money. I think it's like a full-time gig if you really want to be good at it.
Yeah.
But as far as whether flipping is good or not, I am for it. I don't see any downsides. It's not for me. But if you want a quicker profit and you want to roll that money into something else, you want to consistently do that, by all means do it. But to me, it's another type of job. It's not so much as like earning passive income.
Yeah. Do you consider it more sales than real estate? Or maybe not sales, but
for flipping?
Yeah.
It's just a job. I mean, that's all it is. It's just, but your job is like finding deals and managing people to fix them up and then selling it. I don't think it's a sales job at all. I think you just have to have an eye for, you know, what's aesthetically pleasing for buyers at the time, without going too like, you know, too specky in the sense that like all the homes here that are being flipped are exactly the same. Stupid gray Home Depot laminate floors, stupid gray like, you know, countertops, gray everything. It's just, it looks terrible. You have to have an eye for something that's a little bit different that might stand out. So they're not comparing yours with like the million other developer homes out there. You also have to be on budget and know what things cost and to get multiple estimates and really manage the people to make sure it's done correctly. Even for me with the guy who's doing my remodeling project, he does some really big projects that I'm talking about like in $1 million range. And he's doing mine for like, you know, 60 grand. And I'm still there, like, because there are little tiny things that just in your head you had envisioned that don't come out the way you wanted. So I don't think it's a salesy job. I just think it's a job for a certain type of person who has the time to dedicate to it.
Gotcha. Someone wants to know, what books would you recommend, and do you have any tips for building a buyer's list?
Yeah. Okay. So books. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller is, if you want to be a realtor, that's like the Bible of being a real estate agent. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. As far as really helpful books overall, I found that Think and Grow Rich was probably one of the most impactful books that I've read, and that's by Napoleon Hill. And you can also YouTube that, Think and Grow Rich, and it's free, and you can listen to it. The other good one is How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it just talks about human interaction and how to really win people over and be on their good side, and everyone wins from that. And it talks about like being win-win all the time. One other really good book that I really liked, that kind of got me into the renting thing. I think I read this book when I was like 17 or 18 years old. It's called Buy It, Rent It, Profit. And that talks about buying properties, fixing them up, renting them out, refinancing them, and then doing the same thing over. Those are great books. And then if you're into like the whole like self-help, I know some people are just like, it's kind of stupid, you know, but you know, Tony Robbins is great, and you can listen to pretty much anything on YouTube for free, so it's not like you're out any money if you don't like it. Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, is a pretty good one, and just YouTube Awaken the Giant Within. Listen to it for free. If it sucks, if you don't like it, if you think it's stupid, you click that little red button, and it's all over.
The subscribe button?
Oh yeah, make sure to subscribe.
What are your opinions on commercial properties?
Oh, wait. I forgot the buyer's list.
Oh, yes, I've got that.
Sorry. So to build a buyer's list, what I recommend doing first is talk to your friends, family, and acquaintances. I would say that's the first thing you can do, and let everybody know you're a real estate agent. And what I've noticed, so many people are just like so secretive about being a real estate agent. They don't want to tell anybody. Don't spam them and be like, hey, you're looking to buy, because I see so many people on Facebook too. They're always on Facebook like, hey, if anyone's looking to buy or sell real estate, call me. And it just comes off as just like stupid and spammy and just like, kind of desperate for business. But let everybody know you're in real estate. So your friends, your family, your acquaintances, anyone you come across, let them know you're in real estate and that you're just eager to help. And if there's anything you need, like no strings attached, you're willing to help them out or do whatever you can. Holding open houses is also a really good one. If you hold an open house like every single Saturday or Sunday, everyone that comes in is somewhat interested in real estate. They're going to an open house because they're there to see a house. Whether or not they're buying or selling right now, they will be in the future at some point. And just make sure you get everybody's email address, you get everybody's name. I never really go for phone numbers and like call and like follow up with phone numbers. I'll send emails, and I have a pretty big email database of a few thousand people that if I get a new listing or I've recently sold something, significant, I'll send an email out to these people. And that's just, when I get email addresses from open houses or when I meet clients or someone inquires about a property you have, get their email address and shoot them an email and keep them consistently. Like, you've got to consistently follow up with them because these people will forget you after a few months if you don't reach out to them. Commercial property, I used to be really into, like, I thought after I bought these 3 places in San Bernardino, I thought the next big thing was going to be commercial real estate. And my plan after buying those 3 properties was not to buy a house, but to buy some like retail space. Now I'm seeing a huge change in where people are going and what people are buying. And I believe commercial, more from what I'm seeing, and maybe I could be totally wrong here, more people are working from home, more people are working from the internet, more people don't need to be in an office, more people are buying things online and not going to a store. So long term, I'm not exactly sure how well retail is going to fare, and I think a lot of places will eventually go out of business. I mean, I don't even walk into like a physical bank anymore unless my check is too big for mobile deposit, which is like
the struggle. I get paid too much money. I got to go into the bank,
and I hate it. I hate doing that. And it's like, why can't they just up the limit on mobile deposit? But like, even going shopping anymore, like I buy pretty much everything online. I rarely go into retail places anymore besides like restaurants, which is really the only thing. But even then, it's like you get like Grubhub and you get like all these other places that deliver food to you. So I think we're going in that direction. And because of that reason, I would be somewhat, hesitant about investing too much in commercial. And as far as like, knowing this sort of stuff, I basically just go around what I do myself. And when I find myself not going and shopping, and when I find myself not like, doing these things, I think it's not just me. It's got to be like everyone else at the same time.
Well, and
so I invest with what I see and what I do firsthand.
Yeah, especially if you've done it before and it's worked multiple times. Why stray away from it?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Someone says you're ugly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to get better looking.
Okay.
It hasn't worked yet.
Maybe soon.
Yeah.
How do you get ahead of other renters? How do you highlight between a pool of properties? I'm confused.
How do you get it? Yeah, wait. How do you maybe go to the next one? I don't know how to get ahead of other renters. Besides, you just got to be the first one in and be the most qualified.
Let's see. People are talking about Bitcoin. That's good. Someone wants to know how old you are.
27.
27? I was wrong. Let's see. They want to know if you have a course, or are you going to make one?
You know what? That's a question that I've gotten a lot, and probably the answer is going to be a no for right now. When I started my channel, it was really just meant to be a hobby, because I was really like, I'm still like, my focus is being a real estate agent, and I thought about a course because a lot of people ask me for that. It's just, first of all, I don't know how good my course would be. Just because I've never done a course before, I want it to be like perfect, and I feel like I'd never be able to get it to that point. Maybe is the answer to that. Probably not. I do like want to get into maybe doing like some consulting or something like that, where I can help people out, like analyzing individual deals. And I've gotten offers for that in the past that I've just turned down just because I just wanted this to be a complete hobby for me. But as more people are asking for it, I'm starting to take it more seriously. So maybe.
Okay. Well, someone says you're hot now, so I think it's working.
Oh, cool. So it went from being ugly to hot within like
different people, you know.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Oh. Maybe that's why you have more subscribers than me. Instead of $1 million, what would be the best way to invest $10K? I would say invest in yourself. We kind of went over this a little bit. If you don't have consistent income already, or you're not where you want to be, and you have a little bit of money, even if it's a couple $100s, a couple thousand. Now, maybe when you're getting to the 50 to over 100,000 range, I'd say maybe, what would you say, real estate at that point?
You know what? I mean, yeah, at that point, real estate, like 10 grand, I know it sounds boring. If it was for me, I'd probably open up a Roth IRA and put all that money in a Roth IRA. You can contribute, like, you would contribute for 2017 and then January 1st contribute for 2018. That's what I'd probably do, or maybe hold back a few grand, invest a few grand in yourself, and then put the rest in like a Roth IRA. You can always do that. And the good thing with a Roth IRA, you can always pull out your contribution if you decide you want to buy something else in the future. It's better to at least put money in there and pull it out than not put any money in there at all. So
okay,
that's what I would do.
Okay, guys. Last question. And then we'll wrap it up. He wants to know, will you be going to the Real Estate Wealth Expo in Los Angeles with Tony Robbins?
I was not even aware of that. No, not going to that. It sounds interesting though. I mean, I'll look into it, but no, I was not planning on to.
Okay. And what we mean when we say invest in yourself, that means your education, your learning, anything that can make you better, you more valuable. So, breeding, anything.
Yeah. And one of the other things that I think is really good if you want to invest in yourself is not so much spending money to do that. And that is components to go to places where like you can buy things to learn, but is investing your time in learning. Like, let's say if you want to get into real estate, hypothetically, it would make sense for you to go up to a real estate office and say, listen, I have weekends off, I have after school, I will do anything just to learn. I will get you coffee, I will clean the floors, just anything just to be able to be around the business and see what you guys are doing and see if this is something I like. That is one of the best things that you can do. It costs you nothing. It's just your time, but your time is like you're going to be learning. And that's any business. You want to be in the restaurant business? Do the same thing. Just say like, hey, I'll work for free and just, I'll pick your brain or like I'll see what you do and that will help me out and I can help you out by working for free. Any business you want to be in. And just reach out to people too. I know a lot of people have reached out to me on doing that. I just don't have the time, but it's like you just keep doing that to other people. And eventually you're going to find somebody where that works for them. And you will learn a lot from doing it.
Exactly. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you, Graham, for coming on. You guys, make sure you go check out his channel. He's the first link in the description. I think you just did a recent video because I had a couple people ask about your type of investing where it's 1 to 4 units, where it's more affordable, versus Grant Cardone's 16-plus units. So make sure you guys go check that out and subscribe to him. And also, we'll be doing another video on his channel, hopefully here in a week or two. So we will see you guys then. Any last words?
That's it, dude. Thank you so much. This has been my first live stream. It's been awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.